everybody, and welcome to your Tech Tip of the Week. In this video, we're continuing our tips in honor of National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and we're going to learn how to protect ourselves when using social media. Now, in this video, I'm going to use Facebook as the main example in terms of social media, but other examples of social media are also Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, things like that. Maybe you're not using these forms of social media, but somebody in your family is, maybe a child or a close relative or friend. So these tips will be very useful when you're trying to protect yourself, but also trying to protect your loved ones as well. So the first tip that I have for you about this is not to include your personal information online. Now this seems like a very common tip, but I wanted to put it out there because you'll notice in a lot of Facebook profiles or profiles in general that there is a lot of personal contact information that is out there. Now right now I am in my Facebook profile, I'm looking at my contact information, and I have all these options here on the left hand side. When it comes to basic information, things you might not want to include are your birth year, your phone number, your email, your address. These are things that may sound like common sense, but a lot of people do put them out there. The way I look at it is Facebook is a great way to reconnect with old friends or stay in contact with family, but people that you know from years ago don't necessarily need to know your address. They don't necessarily need to know your phone number. These are things that you're going to reserve for people that you know very well and people that you can trust. So you want to be aware when you're filling out your Facebook profile to only put things that you really feel comfortable with multiple people knowing. So there's a lot of options here that you can look through. Places you've lived, contact information, family and relationships. Just go through these and try to keep that in mind when you're filling out your profile. Is this information that I want someone I don't really know or trust seeing? And use that to guide what you put on your profile. My second tip for this is to check your privacy settings. So I'm going to go here up in the corner and click on Settings. And on the left hand side, you have this whole menu of things that are really designed to help protect yourself when you're using Facebook. You can sort of choose what you're most comfortable with and that level of security. So right now these are just the general account settings, but if you click on privacy, you have the option to choose who can see your stuff, who can see your friends list, who can contact you, who can look you up. Anything that you want that would make you feel more comfortable, this is where you would make that option. It's great to know that you do have this ability to make those choices and try to protect yourself as much as possible. My third tip for you is probably the one that I think is the most important, and that is not to announce your departure on social media. You see things constantly if you are on social media of people when they're leaving. They put a status up that says something like off to sunny Florida to see my family, or anything, just announcing the fact that they're leaving. They'll post pictures of themselves on the airplane. In this case, yes, it is a fun thing to do. You'll notice when people are actually at the place where they're vacationing, they'll post pictures of their family in front of Cinderella's castle, or they'll post pictures of them on the beach. And while this is all fun and it's nice to show where you are and you're excited to be there, you're also letting everybody else know on Facebook that you're not home. Regardless of the fact that maybe you have someone house sitting, it doesn't really matter. You're basically just letting everybody know that you're not there. So you want to keep this in mind when you're posting things in the moment while you're on vacation, or even when you're answering comments or tweets with people who are vacationing with you. Maybe you're trying to make plans. You just want to try to be as careful as possible when you're announcing these things online, because although you are announcing them to people that you know and people that you might trust, you also might be announcing them to people that you haven't known for a very long time, and you might not want them to have this particular private information. With that being said, you also want to make sure you turn off your location settings on if you're using a mobile device with any type of social media, because you don't want people to know where you are. Sometimes if your location service isn't on, it will tell them on Facebook where you're posting from. Sometimes even if you're being your most careful, we're not posting certain things or not saying information that is so obvious, your location services will give that away. You would want to go into the settings on your cell phone and try to make sure that those location settings are turned off. Maybe in your privacy settings you've made it so only your family could see your posts, and then you've done your part in trying to make sure you're protected. But that's just something to keep in mind when you are using social media. So my last tip for you is sort of like two things, and they go hand in hand. The one thing is to make sure that when you are using social media, you do not have auto login enabled, which means that anybody who sits down at your computer or anybody who has access to your phone could access your social media accounts whenever because the password is already put in for them. You want to make sure that you don't have that information saved. And then going hand in hand with that, you want to make sure you log out of everything before you leave. Everybody has pretty much been a victim of someone else who thought it was funny to post a funny status about them while they're not there. So you just want to make sure you don't give somebody else that power to say something on your Facebook publicly that you might not want anybody else to see, even if it's a joke. So as I said, there are multiple different kinds of social media. In this case, I'm using Facebook. So the way you would log out of Facebook is you would click the little arrow here at the top and scroll down and click where it says log out, and then you'll be logged out. I hope you like these tips and that you found them useful. Thank you for joining me for your tech tip of the week. Have a great weekend.